Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode we're doing It Came From the Network. The topic of this It Came From the Network: Monday Night Raw, Season 5, Episode 8, as delineated on the Peacock Network, or the Peacock app. This is from February 24th, 1997. This comes to us as a recommendation from a good friend of the show, Alistair Keffer. Alistair, thank you so much for the recommendation. I definitely appreciate that. The reason this is a special show, if you're not familiar, and judging by what I said, unless you watched everything and you cataloged everything, this is the first time ECW crossed over with the WWF at the time. And we're getting to see, after weeks of mentioning by Jerry Lawler, we're getting to see ECW actually show up and get to show the world on a national cable television show for the very first time what they can do. With that being said, if you haven't watched the show before, we rate everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Let's jump right into it. The first match of the evening, we get the new Blackjacks, Wyndham and Bradshaw, versus the Godwins, Henry and Phineas. This was a good, solid match. I enjoyed this. The Godwins kind of get a rough share historically because of how bad their gimmick was and how silly and dated it was at the time. But they're really good wrestlers, actually, and they're really good storytellers. The new Blackjacks, we kind of had the tail end of Barry Windham's career and the beginning end of just Bradshaw's career. So we kind of got... Look, anytime, it's been said a million times, anytime you put new in front of something in wrestling, it's not going to work. Like the new Rockers, the new Blackjacks, the new Midnight Express. It never works. It didn't work here either. This team, for all the talent they had, JBL, a future world champion, Barry Windham, a former world champion and a former Four Horsemen member, it just didn't work. The Blackjacks pick up the win here. During the win, Phineas's foot was on the rope, which the ref didn't see. So afterwards, they chase the ref around and do the slop on him, where they dump the bucket of what basically looks like throw up or slop or pig slop, because they're supposed to be pig farmers, on the referee. Overall, I'm giving this match a 3. It was good, not great. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Next up, we get the first appearance of ECW in the building. The Eliminators come out and they hit total elimination on what is said to be a ring crew guy. Kind of looked like Ron Buffone to me, but I'm not 100% sure if it was. Ron Buffone worked with ECW, if you're not familiar. Paul Heyman comes out and basically says, this is ECW, we're in the building, and the crowd is eating us up. If I were to gauge the fans that were there to watch Monday Night Raw versus the fans that came to see ECW, it was probably 70-30, and 70% being ECW rabid fans. Judged on the way the fans were cheering, judged on the way the shirts were being worn in the crowd, ECW sold this building, not Monday Night Raw. Not saying that a lot of the ECW fans wouldn't have went to Monday Night Raw, because they absolutely would have. Probably a good 80% of those guys would have went to the Raw taping anyway. But 70% of the crowd, and I know it's starting to sound like Steiner math here, 70% of the crowd was fully in the corner of ECW. And it's kind of awesome to see, being as huge of an ECW fan as I am. And, I've seen this episode 1,000 times. It's one that I was given on video cassette a long time ago by one of my friends, and because they happened to tape it, I didn't actually tape this. They recorded it and they gave it to me to watch, and I watch it over and over. But anyhow, that being said, We go to a break, come back, we get our first ECW match of the evening. Big Stevie Cool, Stevie Richards, in full BWO popularity versus Little Guido. What a great match to show the world that doesn't necessarily know what ECW is, what ECW is, and two of their better wrestlers at the time. BWO was the hottest gimmick in ECW at the time. This was leading into Big Stevie Cool, Stevie Richards, getting to participate in basically the three-way dance at Barely Legal that leads into the main event. So Stevie was at his most popular here. You got to see the full gimmickry of the BWO. You got to see a great wrestler in Little Guido. Stevie was a great wrestler too. During the match, the BWO's with him. Raven comes out to ringside, who at the time is the world champion. So again, you get to see their world champion. You get a little bit of a taste of what ECW is about. The funny thing, and it happened every time that ECW was on the screen, and I never really noticed it till I reviewed this here. While the match was going on, there was a picture-in-picture with Goldust, a WWF star. So, funny how that worked. On every ECW segment, they had those picture-in-pictures. And I kind of wonder if it's because people that were watching Raw for the first time either in forever or in a long time, or switched over from WCW to see these segments, then got to see not only the ECW segment, but got a little bit of a promo of what WWE was planning on doing that night. Anyway, if that's the reason, it's shrewd marketing. You use a company with a buzz to help get your company over. Stevie picks up the win here. I'm giving this match a 4. Next up, we're getting an arm wrestling match with Marlena versus Sunny. This is in full, not even Divas era yet. This is pre-Divas. This is what I guess you would call proto-Divas. This would, because Sunny and Sable, and I guess Marlena too, are basically the prototype of what the Divas would become. Women that were out there more for their looks than anything else. And that's no knock on Marlena or Sunny. They were both very interesting wrestling characters. But I believe both of them would tell you that neither of them was a great wrestler. Honky Tonk Man is the official for this. We see Marlena get disqualified by throwing powder in Sunny's face. Savio Vega hits the ring. Looks like Savio's going to attack Sunny gets disqualified by throwing powder in Marlena's face. Savio goes to attack Marlena, which brings out Goldust, which leads us into an impromptu match of Goldust versus Savio Vega. This I thought was pretty solid. This, for being an impromptu match, I believe they may have announced that it was going to happen, but the match just happened here. They had Miguel Perez on commentary, and this was when Savio was in the Nation of Domination, I believe freshly in the Nation too. He had PG-13 out there with him. It's kind of funny seeing Miguel Perez being on opposite sides of Savio Vega, knowing that very soon after this they're going to become Los Boricuas. But this was I kind of wonder if they were thinking or trying to do more with Miguel Perez, and it kind of failed. And that's where they got to getting to Los Boricuas. But anyway, this was a solid match as well. Goldust picks up the win here. I'm giving this one a 3. Also during the segment, we get to see Ken Shamrock's in the building. I want to say this was Ken Shamrock's first time in WWE. I'm almost 100% sure they definitely acted like he did. He was there to build for the lead up for WrestleMania 13, which was a little bit over a month away from this. So that's why I was sitting there. Jerry Lawler tries to interview him, saying he taught Shamrock his submission moves, and Shamrock kind of called Lawler a liar, which was a decent segment. You could tell Shamrock wasn't really that great on the mic here. You could tell where they were going with this. It was kind of interesting to tie that in there. Like I said, I'm giving the match itself a 3, which leads us to our next match. our second of the, I believe, so our second of the 3 ECW highlight matches, we get Taz, the Human Suplex Machine, versus Mikey Whipwreck. Again, another match to showcase what ECW is about. Taz at the time was as hot as he ever was going to be. He was leading into the Barely Legal pay-per-view with one of ECW's biggest rivalries and biggest feuds ever, him and Sabu. We get Taz out there basically dominating Mikey Whipwreck, who is the perfect person to do that against. Mikey Whipwreck generates so much sympathy, and him even taking a crushing loss never hurts his popularity. Taz pretty much runs through him. Taz picks up the win here. Things of note during the match, we do get a Nation of Domination picture-in-picture, which is promoting the main event of Farouk and Undertaker. Also, this is the infamous Sabu jumping off the Raw letters into Team Taz, which more looks like he fell. If the more I look at it, the times I've looked at it over and over again, it looks like when Sabu started to jump, the letters started rocking backwards, which made it look like he just fell off of the letter instead of diving off of the letter, which it didn't look as impressive as it could have, but hey, it's Sabu. Half of his stuff looked like it was a failure anyway. I'm giving this a 5. I thought the whole segment was great. Again, another excellent way to showcase ECW to people that have never seen the product before that. Next up, Vince McMahon, who was on commentary with Jerry Lawler, was hyping up all night that there was going to be a surprise. We get the Headbangers versus surprise returning tag team, the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. And it'd been 4 years at this point since the Road Warriors were in WWE. I know the year before they did some stuff in WCW. But the way the Road Warriors came out and the pop they got, and there's a reason why it's called the Road Warrior pop. This is the Road Warriors 10 years after their peak. This is the Road Warriors who had mostly been away from wrestling for 4 years. They done, like I said, they did some stuff the year before with WCW, and the crowd goes absolutely apeshit. I would put this up with anything else, with the Steve Austin, with The Rock. The Road Warriors get as great of a reception as anybody else in the history of wrestling, if not better, and it's astounding how popular they really were, and still are to this day. There are a lot of people that will argue that the Road Warriors are the greatest tag team of all time. This was a solid match, ends in a double count out, which I think they were trying to keep the Headbangers strong by not making them lose to the Road Warriors. Headbangers still another great tag team from the era. Afterwards, we see the Road Warriors hit the Doomsday Device. The match itself was good. I'm giving it a 5. A 5, though, just because of the visceral reaction and the Road Warriors being the Road Warriors, doing what they did best. This is probably one of the last great Road Warrior appearances or Road Warrior pops, I guess you would say, that you're ever going to see in wrestling. After this, it was mostly downhill. We got LOD 2000, the Hulk alcoholic angle, all that stuff, which, again, legendary tag team, probably the last great moment in their career. You know, WrestleMania 14, they got a great response, but I think this is even better. For that, I'm giving it a 5. Next up, we get the final ECW Showcase match. Tommy Dreamer, the heart and soul of ECW, versus Devon Dudley, half of the Dudley Boys and the ECW's greatest tag team. And in my opinion, sorry Road Warriors, the greatest tag team of all time. Road Warriors are number 2 for me. This again was another fantastic match. Tommy and Devon have wrestled each other several times, whether it be singles whether it be in tag teams. They really got to show the spirit of ECW. They took it a little bit hardcore without going beyond what the WWE would allow. However, making you notice that this is different than what the WWE is doing. Dreamer picks up the win. I'm giving it a 4. Afterwards, we see Bubba Ray and Sign Guy get involved, which brings out the Sandman. I always think it's funny how they mute out Sandman's music with the crap music that they have there. Again, another time Undertaker's in the picture-in-picture during the match. Like I said, if someone was tuning in just to see the ECW parts, maybe you would stick around to see the Undertaker. Again, I thought this was a really solid segment. Another thing, they muted Sandman's music, but on Taz's music, it sounded like they kept in the Kiss song, kept in War Machine, which, if you know anything about Kiss, I can guarantee if Kiss knew about that, they would be all over suing. But anyway, I digress. Like I said, I'm going to give this a 4, a really solid match. Another match showing exactly what ECW is about and what you could expect from ECW. Afterwards, we get highlights of Bret Hart losing the title to Sid Vicious, or Psycho Sid at the time, which shows Steve Austin getting involved in the match, which will eventually lead us to WrestleMania 13, Austin versus Hart. We also get Ken Shamrock again, this time being interviewed by Todd Pettingill. Goes a little bit better. He's just basically saying that he's a huge fan and he's here to watch wrestling. Pretty good, solid segment. A nice way to keep us going on there. And I forgot to mention, I forget where it was in the show, and I didn't put it on my list over here. This was also the show where we seen the Tell Me a Lie Shawn Michaels video, which is one of the great segments or great music segments in WWF or WWE history. After this, we get our main event of the evening, The Undertaker versus Farouk. Farouk has the Nation of Domination with him. This is the version with Crush and Savio Vega. D'Lo Brown's with him, but I don't think he's named as of yet. He's just a guy in a suit. You get some nice interaction between Farouk and Ken Shamrock. A good solid match between Taker and Farouk here. A little bit slow in my opinion, a little bit lumbering. After seeing what we've seen with the ECW guys, ECW definitely outclassed WWF on their own show. And that's not just coming from an ECW fan, that's coming from a wrestling fan. Because there are definitely ECW matches that I will say are terrible. But on this show, they were the 3 best matches on the show. And it's very obvious that what WWE or WWF at the time was doing, they needed to change. And they needed a spark, which Attitude was coming very shortly. Which, if you ask me, Attitude is just Vince McMahon stealing from ECW what ECW was doing, putting a more PG coat of paint on it, and making it his own. I digress. Undertaker picks up the win by disqualification here when the Nation of Domination gets involved, which brings out the Legion of Doom to help the Undertaker, setting up Legion of Doom being in the street fight with Ahmed Johnson versus the Nation of Domination at WrestleMania. A solid match. I'm going to give it a 4. Again, the best of the WWE matches, but not as good as any of the ECW matches, in my opinion. With all that, overall, I'm going to give the show a 5. This is one of the historically greatest Raws, in my opinion. One of the best Raws, one of the most interesting Raws ever. We get acknowledgement of not only is there a different company out there, but there's a different company that's showing up on WWE television. We get somewhat acknowledgement of WCW, even though it's not said by name and on the commentary. We get to see, for the first time on a monstrous stage, the Raven character, the BWO, Taz, Tommy Dreamer, the Dudley Boys. We get to see them on a huge stage because at the time, ECW did not have a cable deal. And if you're a newer fan and you don't know, if you're only going by what 2022 is, cable television was absolutely huge back then. This would be the equivalent of someone not having any social media right now. It would be the equivalent of there not being YouTube videos for a company. It was very, very big. And it was a big deal for a company that was only on certain different cable networks all across the country to get in front of that many viewers. There wasn't and at the time, I think it was 5 million people watching Raw. There wasn't 5 million people watching ECW. You got 5 million new eyes on their product, which I think helped them, helped WWE freshen up its product. Win-win situation for both. Like I said, overall I'm giving this a 5. I want to thank again Alistair for recommending this. Like I said, it's one of my favorite episodes of Monday Night Raw, if not my absolute favorite. I thoroughly enjoyed going back and watching this. I recommend you doing so as well if you haven't seen it, or if it's been years since you've seen it. Go back and watch when Raw was really fun and really interesting, and it felt like anything really could happen. With all that being said, please like this, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you made it all the way to the end, leave me a Raw is ECW in the comments. Thank you again for watching the video. My name is George Coles, and this has been my review of Monday Night Raw Season 5, Episode 8.